3, 2, 1. Oh, here we are. We're live. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening for our show, The Mystic and the Medium, with myself, Kate May, and Suzette Carlisle Thorley, or Thorley Carlisle. I never know which way to pronounce yours. Yeah. Kate, joining us today is the amazing animal psychic Jackie Weaver. I met Jackie quite a few years ago at a psychic fair. I was lucky enough to be gifted one of her amazing books, and it was called The Animal Insight, and it really was a very good insight. She's since then, produced other books. She's gone on to have lots of different TV shows, has been on in magazines, all sorts. So we're really, really excited to be bringing Jackie on soon for you. And I'm sure you'll have lots of questions ready for her. Have to keep telling people, though, this is not a reading show. So please try to ask questions, not ask personal readings from whether it's the work that myself and Suzette do from the tarot and the mediumship point of view, or whether it's the animal communications there. So I'm going to introduce to you Suzette.
Hi, well, I'm the other half of the Mystic and the Medium. So as you all know us, so I'm the medium, so that's what I work as, but not today. So we're both interviewing today. I've never met Jackie. Well, I have briefly, so that's a bit of a lie. But it's animal communications always intrigued me. Both Kate and I are pet lovers, so and have pets. If you look at our pages, so it's all set up to be a really interesting interview. So we'll get going.
Bring her on. Welcome, Jackie. Thank you, Jackie.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. So, Jackie, I just have to spend 30 seconds just sharing it everywhere. So I'm going to hand you over to Suzette just to start off rolling the ball there, and loosely introduce you with her, and I'll just be back on. It's the way social media has to work. I'm going to get some of the comments to come up already that we've got. There already.
So, Jackie, how did you get into this?
Oh gosh, it seems so long ago now. Basically, back in 2005, I was seriously ill with cancer. They didn't expect me to live, and I actually did come out the other side of it, as you can see. And for a treat, booked an animal communicator to come and talk to our animals, 2 horses and a dog. And when she spoke to my dog Sally, Sally then said to her, "Oh, I could do this." So bless her, she said to me, "You can do it, and I can teach you how to do it." And literally, it just was like everything just slotted into place, because I would know things, didn't know why I knew things, and have dreams that come true and lots of things. And until someone went, "Oh, it's because you're psychic." And then the penny dropped. And so from there, within sort of 3 months, people were saying to me, I had when I was ill, a lot of people supported me, and I knew a lot of people with animals. So I was able to sort of practice on theirs. And then I was going like, "Where's your website?" And I'm like, "I don't have a website." And it just completely, went from there, basically.
So, were you a medium, Jackie, when you first started, or did you have to develop that afterwards?
Sorry, say that again, please.
Was you already a medium when you first started, or did you develop that during and afterwards?
I was I had the mediumship side as well, but again, I didn't recognize it. And I can remember seeing my dad. He died when I was 17, and I can remember seeing him and different things like that. But again, until someone explains it to you, you don't realize what it is. And then, as I say, you learn how to then say to yourself, use it and how to get the information and pass it over.
So, you being able to do this is really expanded and encompassed, quite a lot of different people. So across the board, and animal-wise as well. And so, what for you has been the most moving communication that you've done, and also what's maybe the most unusual animal that we might think is unusual, but obviously as an animal communicator you probably wouldn't.
Obviously there's plenty of them have been very emotional, but one that springs to mind, which I totally forgotten about, was a group of ponies who'd been rescued, and sort of a year later it was the girls, I didn't realize at the time, but they had chipped in and bought a reading for one pony. And this pony had basically shut down completely and stood on the yard for a year and just wouldn't mix with animals, people. She was just shut down. So there was a whole group of them at the end of the phone. It was on loudspeaker, and I can remember I tuned in with this pony, and she just said, "Where's my foal?" And I was like, "Has this mare lost a foal, or have you rescued the foal, gone elsewhere?" And that's exactly what had happened. And logically, what they'd done, which I thought in a way is slightly illogical, is they got all the grown-up horses, the mums, put them in one place, and put all the youngsters and the foals in another place. So I wrote a story about it, and I said it's akin to going into, say, a place, where a cult, right? And they rescue everybody, and they put all the mums and dads in one place and put all the kids in another, and not tell them anything. And that's what it was like. So we explained, no, your foal's fine. It's gone somewhere else. It's got a lovely home, etc. And then she just said, I want to look after others, and show me some pictures from Shetlands. So I said, have you got some Shetlands there? And they said, yes. And I said, it's like she wants to be the mum to them. And no joking, I couldn't believe it. They came back to me the next day, and they said the next day they went to see her. She had a breakfast or whatever, and then she trotted off the yard, gave a buck, and away she went. And I was just I was over the moon.
Really, bless her. So she was just wanting that her baby's back, and that's what you were able to do in effect.
Yeah, to tell her what had happened. She was just having gone through, and it was so sad because she was in a barn, there was dead animals around her and stuff, so she was traumatized.
Yeah.
The last trauma was take away this little foal that had actually survived with her own foal. So that was just like, it just completely amongst her.
Yeah. What's the most unusual animal that you've been able to work with?
This sounds really strange, but only today, well, a couple of days ago, I actually worked for a client, and she reminded me I'd actually spoken to a couple of elephants for her, and I totally forgot. Yeah, and then she was doing some work to help these elephants, and it was quite funny because they didn't recognize their names, but they said, I'm the big one, I'm the small one, and that's how they put themselves across. And I said to her today, did any of the information come up that you didn't know or whatever? And there was key things that actually did come up, and she was able to implement some changes, but also explain to these elephants at the time, I can't remember a lot of it, but again, explaining that, look, people are trying to do their best for you. It might not be what we think is maybe the most suitable thing, but they are trying. So that was quite interesting. And I had completely forgotten. He sent me an email, I'm the lady regarding the elephants. I was thinking, who? But anyway, today I remembered, and we chatted about it. So that was nice.
We've got a question from Martina. How do you read animals? Is it telepathic, pictures, smell, sense of knowing what to do? You use the clairs like you would in normal mediumship?
She's actually covered everything. Well done, Martina, because it is telepathic. We just got a wavelength to their mind, and we get pictures, feeling about something, like a sense of knowing, smells, visuals, hear things. So absolutely, you've covered everything. So it is just the same kind of, like I say, like mediumship, where we just get given information, our brain turns it around, and we just give it back out again.
So do you feel that there's this connection? So when you work with the animal, do you feel that there's this connection? So within mediumship, we feel that presence. So is that ultimately how you feel it as well?
Yeah, what they do, what they tend to do is, and this happens with some mediums and some not, but it's like if I've got an animal that's very upbeat and very sort of demonstrative or something, I'll become very much like that. And sometimes I can, what do you call it? Author Jackie Newcomb, the Angel Lady. And I went to her house, and I was doing a reading. It just sprung to my mind there, and I was doing an action like this, and I said, "Oh, it's like your cat wants to be like a ballet dancer." And she went, "Oh my God!" She said, "You're doing the actions what my cat does." So they can like put that onto us, and also usefully they can pass pain feelings to us. So if I get like an ache in my right leg or something, we don't diagnose, but I just say, I'll give you what I get. And then I can be like, are you aware of any problem with the right leg? So they kind of use us as like a person to represent them.
Wow. Can anyone do it, do you think? Or like if you've got your own animal, do you think you're already in tune to your own animal? Or do you think that you have to do a course on it? Or what do you think?
Right. I'll be honest, some people say everybody can do it. I I don't agree with that, because I don't think everybody's psychic, or if they are, they're not developed in any shape or form. So if I say everybody can do it, then the person that finds that they can't is going to think, well, what's wrong with me? So I'm honest in that respect. But many people can do it. And I say, what the questions I ask is, do you have dreams that come true? Do you know things before they happen? Do you just after the fact go, do you know, I knew that was going to happen? If you've got that, you've got the basis of it. Some people don't even realize they've got it. But when I teach, I just teach like an hour on Skype. I can show people how it works, get their mind to do what it wants to do, and then try and like communicate with my animals, etc. So lots of people don't realize they can, but then if you just explain to people, those are the outlines of it. So people listening will be thinking, well, actually, yeah, I have this information that comes from my head and I don't know where it comes from. That's because you've been given it. So then we just teach you how to get it from the animals. And also it's getting past that logical brain. You'll know the logical brain, you'll know it as well. And it's techniques to go, do you know something? It's not me making it up. It's like flowing through to give it out.
Mm-hmm. And have you developed a following? So have you seen the more that, because you've got books out, and I know we'll just talk a little bit about your newest book in a minute. But have you found that as we progress at the minute, that the following is greater within animal communication, where people are more wanting to become more attuned with their animals, wanting to have that extra contact with them?
It's far more acceptable than it was when I started. I used to get a lot of grief about it, and people were so skeptical, and I can understand that. So it's our job to prove what we're doing. But you're welcome. But I would say, like, people, it's becoming far more normal. Someone's got a problem with a horse. Someone will say, why didn't you get an animal communicator to ask the horse? And it's become so much, more acceptable. And people will just write to me and say, oh, can you talk to my dog for me? Like it's normal. But I can remember years back, oh gosh, I don't know, probably about, 2009, somewhere around there. I went down to London to do an interview with the Daily Mirror. So I went to the journalist's house, and there's 2 cats and stuff, and did chats to them and whatever. And I was talking to the table, and I said, oh yeah, I said, the other day I was talking to a horse, and she said, Jackie, hang on. She said, I've done this job for 20 plus years, and never has anybody said to me, the other day I was talking to a horse. Normal. So it is brilliant. It's just an extra tool for people to help solve problems, find out what their animal's thinking. And often what we presume is the problem sometimes isn't at all. So it's like, let it come straight from the animal's mouth, and then we work from there.
Do you think at the moment, because of the lockdown, a lot of us are being in the house even more than normal? My cats have been as scatty as this last week, and normally around the full moon, I can put some things down to that. But I actually think they're getting bored of me now. I think that they want their own home back, and they're fed up with me and the children being in their space.
Yeah, it's so true, because they get used to their space, they get used to their routines and stuff, and all of a sudden it's completely turned upside down. Some animals are absolutely loving it, and they're so like, oh my gosh, I've got my mum home all day or whatever. And that's the other thing, is lockdown is starting to ease off. So I'm saying to people, like, try and think that, you need to start to wean yourself away. So like, you can go out the door for 10 minutes and come back in, get them used to you going away again, because you don't want them to suddenly feel abandoned.
No, my friend said her dog was really clingy around her. But the cats are more independent, although they are a bit more clingy. I think they are bored of me now. But my friend said her dog was really clingy. She couldn't go anywhere. So, and she was worried that when she goes back to work, that he's going to start pining. But yeah, you're right. Maybe weaning, doing it gradually. Because
also animals are so open to what we're thinking and stuff. And like the media has got a lot to answer for this virus, and it's just frightening the death out of, so many people. So the trouble is that people are panicking and worrying, and then the animals pick up that as well. So they're trying to placate the owner and help. And so it's kind of like, I always say, treat the animal like they're the child. So you say, look, it's okay. You're absolutely fine. You're safe. I'm going to look after you, whatever. I just need to, sort out the human side. So you don't need to worry, because it's like a child. You wouldn't want your 6-year-old child to go, oh, mummy, what's going on? Or is this whatever? You say, look, it's absolutely fine, you know, because I'm having this long holiday and life's a little bit complicated at the moment, but it will all go back to normal.
How many pets do you have at the moment, Jackie?
2.
2.
Yeah, and that's a pretend dog in the window. People think it's real. Yeah.
What do you have, Jackie?
Pardon?
What pets do you have?
I have got a Jack Russell called Chico, who'll peer of a shout, Chico!
Oh, that's really fun. My mum's, she's got a little chihuahua called Chico as well, actually.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is. Hop, 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 jump, hop. Oh, this is Chico.
Oh.
Send me on Facebook, Chico. Star, aren't you? Yes, looking at the telly. Yes. And I've also got a cat called Buddy as well.
Yeah.
Interestingly, like, you know, people go, oh, cats and dogs don't get on. But I got my cat first from a rescue over in Wolverhampton, that's 70 miles away. So I had 70 miles of meow, meow, meow all the way back. And then a month later, I got Chico. And unbelievably, you would think they were brought up together. They are just like, they love each other. They play together. They sleep together. It's just incredible. So I'm just so blessed.
So did you have did you almost with Chico, did you have a period of time where you were introducing the new pet, that Buddy, that was coming, to get them ready for, you know, somebody else coming to be with mum?
Well, basically, through a friend of mine, we did a reading with Chico and kind of explained to him straight up that, look, you know, this is my cat. You know, at the end of the day, you know, the cat comes first. If you come in here and cause trouble, I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to stay, because, you know, that's just the way it is. But fortunately, and this is quite a good tip for people, is he had been castrated and he still had one of those bucket things on. So the cat, it was great, because say if you wanted to try and chase the cat, he couldn't get through the gaps in the furniture and stuff because he had the lampshade on. So I thought that's very useful if you're trying to introduce, and so the dog can't get through and another animal can get away quicker. You just put one of the lampshades on them. The veterinary one's not, and it worked a treat. And then Buddy realized, actually, you know, he really wasn't going to do anything. I felt a bit calmer about it. And then literally with him, he still had to have on for quite a few weeks. And I did a video of the cat sitting under him and he's peeling the sellotape off the plastic thing. And the dogs just sit there going, okay. The cat's like, yeah, we can't do anything. And yeah.
Oh. Julie Todd is writing, why are dogs so loyal?
Well, my answer to that is that not all are. But however, if you've got a great bond with your pet, they are like a child or whatever. They adore you and you adore them, so they absolutely want to be in your company and are loyal. And it's a relationship that builds up. And sometimes, like, people think, oh well, I feel really bad because this dog's actually really, really special, a little bit more than others. That's because we have what I think are soul dogs. And they're like, you know, they come into our life and there's something so special about them. They just become like sort of the part of you as well. And they're so special to have. But yeah, dogs are so loyal. Forgiving animals are the most forgiving creatures. Incredible what humans do to them, yet they absolutely, high percentage will, you know, forgive and go, okay, I'll try again. And
I think that's because they can sense the bigger picture where they're not humans and sort of like that. Yeah. They understand the bigger picture. So if they are mistreated, they know that maybe it's because that person was mistreated and they don't know any better. So they've got a different perspective of it. Do you think that's one?
Yeah, I do agree. But also I would say to people is to tell them. I was thinking of, like, say if you take a child out of care for whatever, has had a bad time, and you don't say, look, this is your home now, you're not going anywhere, nothing will ever happen to you again. If you don't say anything, they'll still have it, the program running in the back of their mind is, you know, is this going to happen again or whatever. So again, with dogs, if you rescue a dog, I've had some with horses, dogs or whatever, who've been holding back because they've been like, okay, I really love that other person, but look what they did to me, I'm not going to give my heart again. So therefore we explain to them, you know, you are so special, you've been chosen, this is your chance in life, you know. And so most of the time they go, okay. And what I also do is ask them to forget like a keyword, of what I call a bonding key. So I said, like, give me a sentence that your owner or your carer, or whatever you want to call them, can say to you to keep prompting this promise that we've made you. So you use their words, and I've been amazed where animals have just changed like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a massive animal fan. I'm more cats than dogs, but I think that's just because I've been brought up with cats.
Yeah.
With dogs. My partner's been brought up with both, so he you know, sees a dog and he'll get down on the floor with it and start rumbling around with it. Jackie, who's put in a lovely dog, Monty, she has said, is it a relief to the animal to be heard and understood, do you think?
Absolutely. So true. It's like sometimes, and it's been like emotional for me, sometimes, especially if they've had real issues, in the end I just say what you want to me, and it's like kind of me from my mind putting my hands out and go, just give it to me, and they'll just go and they just give out this information and offload. And I can remember, here's an example of a pony that it was so sad. She just went into this ream of stuff. She was only young, and she was talking about traveling, and I said, she showed me like traveling and then being on the floor, and then it got faster and faster, and she'd actually fold on the floor of a lorry on a journey being shipped from somewhere with a load of horses. And she was just, but she just like blurted it all out. So we just let her unload, and then we explained, you know, to her various different things, and it was just like a weight had been lifted off her shoulder.
Wow. You've done quite a few celebrity pets.
Yeah.
Bill Roach. I said his name earlier and then it escapes me. Who's the guy? That's the one. Yeah. Huge fan, isn't he?
Yeah. He was so nice and so down to earth. And when I was on his show, it was such a laugh. It was a real laugh. Yeah. But he was sitting in makeup and he was chatting away to me. He said, oh, I think this is absolutely amazing and whatever. But the laugh was that if anybody hasn't seen the show, it is on my YouTube thing, was they had also what's his name? The man from Downton Abbey. His name escapes me. But anyway, he was there with his dog, who I hadn't met. But what I'd done was tuned in and got some information before. And I thought, this dog just doesn't seem completely well trained. Oh, my goodness. It was all over me. It was jumping everywhere and stuff. In the program, he had a very well-behaved dog. And I said, oh, you know that dog that's so well-trained, this lab, that you have on Downton Abbey? He said, yes. And I said, I kind of think your dog's not like that. And he wasn't. Yeah, it was good. And the thing I liked about Paul was he was so open and just wanting to hear. And same about his dog, Sally, who's just passed away. Some programs can be a bit difficult with me. Others have been absolutely great.
I mean,
sorry, Suzette.
Yeah,
if they're open to it, it's going to be easier. If you come up against somebody who's a skeptic in it, it's going to end up, the energy's different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is difficult. And I think, you know, when like somebody goes on that's a chef, they don't go, okay, get up and bake me a cake. But every time I go on, it's like, okay, you've got to prove yourself. But yeah. I had a good one on Loose Women, because they really put me under pressure. But Colleen's dog had lost a leg, and it's weird when they cut it. I've got my version for YouTube, but when they cut it, they cut out the bit where she said, and I told nobody to tell her anything about it. And actually she was right. So she sort of said to me, if you can tell me how my dog lost its leg, you'll be my something. I can't remember what it was. And actually I went through the different things of, it wasn't this, it wasn't that, wasn't this, and said what it was. And she was like, yeah, you're right. So I thought, well, you know, you can't guess, because the reason I listed the different things was so I was letting the audience know, well, it could have had, you know, a growth, or it could have been malformed, or it could have had an accident, but it wasn't any of those things. It's actually because it fell off something and smashed its leg as a youngster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so things like that, it all helps. And like you'll know as well, working this, sometimes our brains get it wrong. And secondly, if you've got somebody that's going against you, you just got the energy. And I just feel so sorry, because you can have a spirit animal or a spirit person coming through, and they're going, oh, you know. And one person said to me, funny the other day, because I said that, and I said, I can't remember what I told you 10 minutes ago. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I'll just carry on. So you think spirit going, this is a chance of getting to talk. Please don't try and block me. And I just say to people, have an open mind. You know your animal. And if somebody gives you 6 points saying that is nothing like your animal, then absolutely say, well, actually, to be honest, that doesn't sound like my animal. The other question I will say is, okay, because I always think that somebody will jump into that space if it's not theirs. And then I say, okay, I'll ask something else, but do you recognize, or did you have an animal like that? Because sometimes, same in mediumship, if you're able to get just straightforward to one person, is they will jump in and take over. So we go, right, okay, let's chat to them first, and then we'll come back to your dog.
So with your when you work with animals in the spirit world, so would people come to you, or people would Skype you, and they'd be looking for a reading, and obviously you would know it's because they've an animal that's passed. So you're working with the animal discarnate. So you're working with the animals.
Yes, I work with Hi, Kim. Living animals, yes, because help to solve problems and whatever. And it's just the same as whether they're living in this body because they have a soul. I always say that our soul could be across the room. It doesn't matter. It's just following this physical. By the way, I'm in my winter clothes because it's cold. But yes, in spirit, it's exactly the same. So wherever the soul is, we're just connecting to that soul and then joining, getting the information to pass to the owner.
Another question again from my team before we move on to a couple of others. Sorry to ask again, it's okay. Did you have a case where animals lied to protect someone or themselves?
Animals tend to be pretty honest. There's some sort of, but the animals are not manipulative. But however, I can remember a brilliant one. I was chatting to, funny enough, it was a friend of mine, and she was chatting, and she had this lovely dog called Marigold. What a name! So anyway, Marigold was chatting away, and then Marigold showed me this load of like diarrhea on the floor, and I went, oh. Now, in the back of my mind, I knew that my friend had more dogs, but anyway, so Marigold showed me that and went, wasn't me. And my friend turned around and she goes, well, Jackie, she said, it was only her in the house. And she said, and I could tell you it wasn't me. And she said she remembered it so clearly. And it was like the dog was embarrassed, going, I'm not taking this on. She said she was having a dinner party. And to this day, she said, no idea what happened. But she just suddenly had this diarrhea all over the floor. And the people were coming in 10 minutes. She was like, oh, my God. But yeah, but normally they won't, they tend to tell the truth.
What somebody's asked, she's asked for her particular cat, but asking as a general, what's the spraying? Is that for their territory?
Yeah, normally, especially a boy, if it's not castrated, it will spray. Nearly 99% will, so absolutely get them neutered. But sometimes spraying, even if they are neutered, they can do it. Even girl cats can do it, but it is sometimes a stress issue, or you'll find something's coming into their territory or whatever, and they're stressed either because of a situation or territory or whatever. But it's normally a reason for it. It's not like a natural thing that they just do because it's normally a reason.
Penny says she had a whippet who was 15. He died 2 months ago. I also have a cat who was 2, and every night we all went for a walk together. When my dog died, my cat was so upset, but I talked to the cat a lot and is gradually getting better. I really miss my animals. I've had 2 horses, 3 cats, rabbits, hamsters, goldfish. I miss them all every day. I think it's so wonderful that you can talk to animals. You're doing the right thing by the sounds of it, Penny, by talking to your cat through the grief. And we can talk about and your book with that, Jackie, as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree. You're doing the right thing, and your cat, bless, will take it on board. But what the lovely thing is that they all go to the same place. I was doing a reading for I think it was a cat. Yeah, it was a cat today. Sorry, whoever it was, a cat. But anyway, I could see the rabbit, and they just went, the rabbit's here, and I could see this lop-eared rabbit. And she said, oh yeah, we had it was a dog. I've got it now. And so anyway, could see this rabbit. And when the dog was a puppy, they had the rabbit, and they used to play. So and it was so nice. It was on Skype, and there was 2 young girls with their mum doing the Skype, which I thought was lovely because it's given them an early, and even though they're very spiritual actually, but an early insight into connecting with spirit, even with animals. So I explained to them my simplest version because I'm sort of straightforward. And I said, imagine it's like we all lived in Australia. So then we come to England, we live our life in England, then we pass over and we go back to Australia, and everybody goes to Australia. So that's how I look as heaven. We all join up in the same place. So all your animals, the lady that just spoken, that have passed, they're all like your soul family, and they will all join up together. So when you get to heaven, they're all there for you as well.
So your book that's about grief, pets. What led you to write that? You know, what was the catalyst for you thinking, I need this out there?
Yeah. Spirit guided without fail. And that book, bizarrely, actually, I'll show you a picture and I'll tell you why. Is if I show you there, that's the picture, Sally. Okay. Now, when I started this book on the 1st of September, which was my cat's passing over anniversary, that's when I thought I'd start writing it. And then it all turned to Sally. And it's like she guided the whole book. And that book was done in 2 weeks. And that sounds really fast.
Wow. Taking me a year to get a few pages done of mine.
But she basically, the day, I'm not trying to, she actually passed over just as I got to the end of the book, which was not expected. And that night, she was living with my ex-husband, but I used to see her and stuff as well. And that night, she was up being sick all night. I was up from 3 o'clock in the morning, typing flat out. And that's because of her. She guided me. And then different things happened with clients and stuff that all needed to go into this. And by the time I finished writing it, because there's techniques of like how to help our minds be kinder to us, how to use like tapping to help us in emotion. And for everybody, here's a simple, really simple one that does really help is if you're feeling emotional, right, what we tend to do is we tend to look down. And our bodies follow the patterns and habits that we're taught. So you'll look down and whatever. First thing to do is force yourself to look up. And if you look up and just fix your eyes on a spot on the wall, suddenly your brain's like, oh, hang on, it's not functioning the same. And actually, to push it even further, I tried this. Watch a really funny film, then look down. And it just dissolves the happiness. It's just bizarre. So you can try that. And then different things like, as I say, understanding how our minds work. And there's another technique is because anybody that's lost an animal knows this, the pain and the whatever is terrible. So I say to people, again, to get the logic out of your mind, into your minds, is what you do is cast your mind back to something that happened, say, years ago that is not emotionally hurting you now. So I'll say, like, I lost my dad to cancer when I was 17. So that was just one of the worst periods of my life. Right. But then I did get over it. I came through it. I came out the other side and started to smile again and live happily. OK, so therefore, logically, you're just putting this to the head, even though you're just feeling so down. You think, actually, I have felt like this before and I did come out the other side. So it's just putting stuff into our positivity, into our mind and understanding how we work. Does that make sense?
And with you know, and ultimately our animals do go over what people call the rainbow bridge. So do you believe that we can actually help prepare them for that journey when we know that the time is coming? And do you think they know the time is coming before we do?
What I was going to say is they don't really need prepared because they know. They really do. And it's so true in the wild where they go, oh, they'll just go off to die. That is so true. But absolutely. And you can see, I have it said to me again and again, where I was chatting to a dog the other day and she was really struggling for weeks and stuff. And then her mom, she was in a basket or something. And, you know, her mom just sort of looked and she said, and I said to her, she gave you this look of, I've had enough. And she said, I know, I saw it. And she just, and I always said, you can't go wrong. You know, you will know. And people think, oh, listen, go, no, I won't. But you will. And we all come in with a date to go out. And I don't know if you two agree with that, but yeah. And in my pet grief book, I give the story about my cat. And again, it's like spirit. He came to me for a good reason. He died. He was only 3 years, 3 months old. But it's like kind of spirit goes, do you know something from this, Jackie? We're really going to prove something with you, because they gave the information about his passing to somebody else. And I was never told. And then like 2 weeks later, it happened, went to visit that person. And they said, oh, yeah, I told you that 2 weeks ago. And so you think, so that was spirit very cleverly showing, you know, that actually we do come in with a date to go out. And the dream she had was exactly what happened as well. So you just think, you know.
I know. I mean, I've lost quite a few pets over the years. And when we were younger, our cat died, and both me and my brother would feel her pawing the bed like they used to when they jump on the bed.
Yeah.
And you could just feel her and scratching at the door. My brother heard her scratching at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do visit us, and they do look, you know, in life. And it was sweet. I was on the reading today, funnily enough. The dog was buried in the garden, and then I just heard, I think it was bluebells. And where she was buried, bluebells came up, yet they'd never, no, sorry, tell her, where she was put to sleep, bluebells appeared. She was buried somewhere else, but these bluebells appeared, and they were like sort of, wow, there's bluebells come up. So it's so lovely, because after the fact, she was able to talk about it as well.
So with animals, have you come into contact with an animal that is seeing a human spirit, where you've had to do a reading around that, where the animal's barking appears to be nothing, and it turns out there is a human spirit there?
Yeah. I'll tell you a funny one. I spent my life laughing. Was again coming back to me was again, it does. Most animals don't get really upset about spirit. They'll bark to let you know they're there. You know, so but this one was showing me, and it was showing me this man in spirit. But then also I could hear this really high sound, and she said, "Oh, that was my father. He died, and he wore a hearing aid, and always used to squeak." So the dog gave me the whole thing, complete with the hearing aid. It was just so funny. But I often say, like, you know, most spirits, you know, are not malicious. They're just sharing a house that they've either lived there before or whatever. So I say, like, you know, if they're there, they're just sharing your space. And to be honest, it's just, you know, more company. And maybe they love animals, so that's why they want to be with you. So
we have a little bit of activity. We're in an old converted barn. And so there's a bit of activity that goes on, and we have 3 dogs and 2 are puppies, Frenchies, and we've got an old Cocker Spaniel, bless her. And they take no notice of anything, any activity at all. It doesn't faze them, where some people will say, oh, you'll know because the cat will, you know, rear off, the dog will bark. And ours have got absolutely, they'll look, but that's it.
But again, it's normal to them. We're all born open. It's just embarrassment where people go, oh, don't be so ridiculous. Of course you don't have a imaginary friend. Of course you didn't hear that. Of course you didn't see that. So kids will just go, oh, okay. You know, but animals are all open. So when they see spirit, and I've seen it with horses, they'll show me another horse go, eow, up the field with them and find out that horse died 3 years ago. But it's lovely. And I just think, you know, it's like sharing the space. It's a good thing.
And it's great for them because, you know, there's not another animal that's going to say to them, oh, don't be stupid, you haven't seen that person, or you haven't mum that's come back to see you that gave birth, because it's just unconditional. They'll see what they see without question. Where for us, we have this whole cognitive thing that goes on and our questioning.
Yeah, I can remember a case, and this proves how like animals can see spirit and react, was ages ago. And actually, it was my ex-landlord, and he said, Jackie, I've got a real problem. I said, what's going on? And Sydney was a lovely dog, but Sydney, due to what somebody had done, did not like black Labradors. Okay, I won't even say why, but anyway, he just loved other dogs, hated black Labradors. So anyway, that was, you know, by the by. So anyway, he said to me, oh, he said, I'm really upset. He said, actually embarrassed. He said, my friend Dave came to dinner the other night, and he said, all Sydney do, he was barking at him, hackles up, and being really, really like quite malicious towards him. He said, I've never seen it before. He said, I was so embarrassed. In the end, I had to shut Sydney away. Have you got any idea why? I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, chatting away. And then all I could see, and this sounds so bizarre, and I was like flummoxed. And I said, I don't know why, but all he'll show me is like a man's left arm. And that's all I could see from here, like in a left arm. And he goes, oh, right. And I said, I can't get why he shows me that. And he said, oh, well, don't worry, it doesn't matter, but thank you for trying. Then all of a sudden, I just went, hang on, did Dave have a black Labrador? He said, oh, yes, he died a couple of weeks ago. So guess who came to dinner with his owner? So, of course, his dog could see this black Labrador and was like, oh, no. So just shows what.
Yeah.
It was so illogical. My poor brain was going, I have no idea what's going on here.
Question from Jackie White. Would people usually get in touch for either a bereaved pet or if your pet is ill? Or is it more because of behaviour problems or just to know how they feel?
Thank you, Jackie. You've covered every reason again. People, absolutely, for all different reasons. I think, like, if you look at it, say, like, especially like you just want to know how they are. Imagine you've got a child that's, say, 10 years old and couldn't speak. And then somebody comes along and goes, you know, I can give your child a voice. People just love to hear what their animals have got to say. But yes, behavioral illness, whether they've passed over. And one of the most, people think, oh gosh, how can you do it? I talk to animals, do reads for animals the day before they go. And you'd think it's like so emotionally difficult, but actually it's the most beautiful thing to do. And animals are amazing because they're in acceptance that they're going to go, of putting their owners at ease. And it's just the most beautiful thing to do. And they'll say all different things. And also on an illness point, and I spend my life saying to people, I don't diagnose, but I'll just give you what I get. And they're so clever. They'll point out things that they do. So say, for example, they'll say, if you speak to me, I always come up to you, or I do this, I do that, whatever. And so they'll list things, and it's kind of like, look, if I don't want to do that anymore, if I don't do that, I'm really showing you, I'm really getting to the end, I'm having enough. And I can remember one horse said to an owner, and I had to spend my life going, I just get this, but that's what I get. And she said, when I've had enough, it had problems with its feet. When I've had enough, I will stand at the back of the stable with my head to the wall. And she went one morning and it was standing, unusual for it, never done it, standing with its head back to the wall and just didn't even turn around. And you just think, okay. Not because I'm saying that, but they just, animals, there's so much more to them people just even realize. And I have learned so much, and they continue to amaze me.
So when you were younger, were you drawn to animals? Were animals always in your life? Looking back, had it started before you'd known it had started?
Absolutely. Brought up on a farm. I didn't have the happiest of childhoods, so animals were my solace. And so I had a pet chicken. I used to dig worms for her, and I was just the animal person. Yeah. She used to sleep with a horse, but unfortunately the horse rolled over one night. But never mind, broke my heart. But I just lived, for animals. And if the dogs would get told off by my mum or something, I was the one that then get in the dog bed with them and like, oh, you're all right, and stuff. And I can remember an incident with my dad. We ran boarding kennels, and there was a little dog, little Jack Russell called Silver. And I sort of looked down the yard, and my dad had got a big broom, and he was trying to sort of scoot this little dog in. It was like, at him. And I said, Daddy, what are you doing? And he said, I can't get this dog to come in. And so I said, oh, it's all right, Daddy. She's just scared. And I just walked straight up and picked up this dog before he could say anything. And she went, oh, hello, Jackie. And then just put it in his kennel. So things like that, I had a knowing, but didn't know that I knew.
Mm. Yeah.
Do animals have star sign qualities?
Wow, that's a question I've never known.
I googled that. I found out when my cats were born, and I've got a Pisces and a Taurus, and then I looked at what it had for animals, and it was slightly different for humans. But I don't know if this was just some crazy Google thing, or if it is, if you think that they do have.
I must admit, I'm not very good on the star signs, even though they do this at work. But I'm not really into star signs. But also, I know I'm an Aquarius. I have some qualities, but then other qualities and other things. And I kind of think a lot of them will overlap and be whatever. But also, what Spirit just saying to me, animals' lives are so different, and time scale and whatever. So if you're going to start to fit months and everything into stuff, their cycles are not going to be the same as ours.
Yeah, that would make sense, actually.
Animals always say to me, Spirit say to me, timing is a human concept.
Yes,
it is. We set the months and everything. To animals, they might have different set. We don't know.
Yes, yeah.
Have you ever been in the position where you've known an animal is going to come into somebody's life, where they've not had an animal before or weren't particular, and then you'd sense and you think, no, I can really see you. You might not think you're going to have animals, but I'm sensing that this is going to change.
Yeah, and I've had it. And again, I spend my life going, I can't promise, but this is what I get. And fun enough, I don't know if she's listening tonight. Lovely client. I'll say Susie, so you'll know who you are. Again, she had the most wonderful cat, went to heaven, and sent me a text the other day saying, you said to me about a slim black cat, and this kitten had come up, needed a home, and it was tall, slim, just kind of like we described. But I always say, like, names are not my forte, but I'm doing a reading for a lovely couple who are sort of more elderly and have rescued quite a lot of elderly cats. But anyway, the next one had died. So I said, maybe think about getting a bit of a younger one, because you're just breaking your heart so often. But anyway, and I said, oh, I get the name Billy. And then they said, "All right, well, we'll note it down." And they went to a rescue a few weeks later, walked in, and there was a cage with a blanket hanging down, and above it was Billie. And they just said, "Oh, Billy." So they said, "Oh, what's with the blanket?" They said, "Oh, it's a rather unfriendly cat." And they said, "We'd like to see it. I'd like to see him." And they said, "Oh, it's a girl, Billy, a girl." And they went, "Oh, right, okay." Took the blanket off, and she was straight up there, purr. And they said, "We'll have her." Nothing wrong with that. And I've had so many different things like that come up, and I just think, again, it's because we're not in charge. It's predestined. Even the sad stuff's predestined, but the good stuff's predestined as well. Oh, and my heart. I don't know if she's listening tonight. People ask me often about reincarnation, and my consensus normally on, and what the animals say is like, they've never said to me, "Oh, I used to be Davy the dog." And on reincarnation, we can't really choose if it does what we can't choose where we're going. So somebody wants to know if their dog's going to come back. Well, actually, that soul could go and be a cow in India, and nobody can tell you about that cow in India because we're not connected. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to work on proof. But anyway, this lady that I chatted to, her last dog that went to heaven, then chatting to this new dog that actually came in from Romania. And we were talking away, and he's doing amazingly considering he was absolutely traumatized. But her other dog butted in. And what she said was she keeps crossing the names between the two dogs. And this dog butted in, and straight from his words were, was my heart morphed into his. Now, this one died on, say, the 14th, and this puppy was born on the 16th. It came from Romania, and it was not the puppy that she was supposed to get. When it turned up, it wasn't the one in the photos. But it does so much that this other dog does. So the relationship with the other dog was so strong that it absolutely just imprinted itself on this dog. And I was just my heart morphed into it. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
So amazing.
It just sounds such an incredibly rewarding journey that you've got here with your your communication with animals. Every time you talk about something here, it's actually captivating, and it's like, "Oh, tell me more." So
I absolutely love what I do. There's huge responsibility, but as people know me, animals like to have a laugh, so I get kind of a bit laugh with them as well. But the work I do is so important to me, for the animals, and for people to help unbreak somebody's heart. Is just, you just can't put it into words. And what you can do for the animals, and the cases where I get, and people come back and say, "Oh my gosh, my animal's a different animal," etc., is just, you just can't make it up, And I can remember years ago when I was ill, someone said, because I'd had cancer and then I had no strength and I couldn't do anything. And I was like, "Well, what can I do?" And someone said to me, "Why don't you write a book?" And I can remember going, "What am I going to write a book about?" Well, within like a year, I started doing this, and I'm actually on the number 10 book now.
Wow.
And they're all available on Amazon still?
Yeah. Yeah, and I keep the prices down, Kindle and stuff. I keep, because like some of them are so expensive. Yes, I obviously need to make money, but I don't make a lot of money in my books because I'd rather people read the stories, help their healing hearts, and just basically get it out there. Because if an animal's got a problem, got something going on, it just takes somebody to go, "Do you know, I know people can do this," and that's another animal that can get some help. So
I bet every time people meet you, Jackie, and they find out what you do, I bet straight away, "Oh, my pet's got this problem, my pet's got that problem." Straight away, you're like, everyone wants you to be their best friend.
Yeah, exactly. But that's probably less, with mediumship, maybe not so much, but on yours it'd be like, "Oh, hang on a second, can you tell me what's going to happen in a month's time?" and whatever. But you just, it's not
I don't go out now, but when I was younger, I used to get it where they in a club, and people would say, "What job do you do?" And you tell them, and then they say, "Oh, can you tell my future then?" And I'd be like, "Well, what job are you?" And they'd be like, "Well, I'm a plumber." "Well, can you come round now and fix my, And they'd be like, "Well, we're out." "So am I." And it's like they didn't get it.
You try dating doing what I do.
Yeah.
I've actually sort of, "What do you do?" I'm like, and there's a list of them, but my favorite was, I said to this gentleman, and I just said to him, well, actually, I communicate with animals. He said, pardon. I said, I'm an animal communicator. And I had on my profile, I was spiritual. So he went, oh, and he went, I wish you were just a nurse. I laughed. I just thought, oh, poor nurses, but oh, hey ho, okay.
Fine. When you have to fill out insurance for insurance quotes and everything, they've always got a drop down, haven't they?
Yeah.
Where you have to put your occupation.
Yeah.
And I would imagine yours is never, ever.
No, I'm lucky because I can put author, but actually my insurance eventually put animal communicators into the insurance. They got mediums and everything. And I was like, we're no different. We just do it with animals.
Yeah.
And so that is now included. So.
Yeah. I used to get embarrassed. I used to just say to people, oh,
California. I just love it. California. Sorry.
Yeah, Denise. I know Denise. Hello, Denise. It must be morning. Is it morning in California at the moment?
Yeah, 8 hours different.
They're about 8 hours behind, aren't they?
8 hours behind, something like that. Yeah.
I did a dog last year that surfs on Venice Beach in California.
Wow.
Yeah, and he had a problem. And the boat, someone said, oh, get this lady to talk to the dog, and couldn't work out why sometimes the dog didn't want to go. But it was to do with, there was a very good valid reason for it. So yeah, so we sort of managed to solve that one, which was nice.
Denise, I think if I remember, Santa Cruz is from there, near Monterey.
Oh, right, yeah.
Up that area, lovely area it is.
Yeah.
I'm just sieving through some questions there. A few people have said their animals have died and they can still see them. Absolutely, yeah, definitely. Their cats have died or animals have died, are they still with them? Absolutely, it's all connected through love.
Exactly, and they live their own spirit life, but then they can watch over yours. And I always say to people, when you talk to them and stuff, they do understand, you know, what you're saying to them. So they will just hear when you say stuff to them. And even to the point is, spirit will try and help, humans or animals, whatever. So I often say, like, you know, if you're confused, you know, you're trying to work out a problem, just ask your animal, can you help me? Because as you know, from spirit, it's all one, they will try and help you. So even for parking spaces and stuff, you know, things like that. Yeah.
Jackie, I've got this cat that comes in. He's not mine, and he just keeps coming in all the time. And now I've taken one of my children have decided he's going to own him, and I've now just I wanted not to, but I've started feeding him, and he's just but he goes away every couple of days. So I think he lives somewhere else for a couple of days and comes in. Should I be encouraging that, or should I have just it's too late now? Really, should I have just said no? I think
you know, if they're insistent and they know what people are like, and it's, you know, I've had cats that they've sat in somebody's garden and they've done it for a couple of months, you know, and they keep appearing. And that's one reason. And in the end, she relented.
Yeah.
But she found out it actually belonged to somebody along the road, but they had kids and were noisy and the cat just didn't want to know.
Yeah.
So yours will probably be the same. And some cats do have like dual existence. And sometimes people don't know. One of the funny ones that you get from after the fact was, I remember talking to a cat, name of Marmite. What a lovely name. And doing the reading, and when you get information they don't know and then they find out, you think, well, the only person that can tell you that is the cat from spirit. And I said, I can see it's like on a clear roof looking through down. I said, so do you have a conservatory? And they said, no. And I said, still the same picture looking down on these people and they're sitting whatever. So she said, no, I don't know. I said, oh, well, just note it down. And it was a couple of days later, the neighbors or weeks later said, oh, we hadn't seen your cat. And so Mama had to get put to sleep. And they said, oh, we used to smile. She used to sit on a conservatory room and looking at us. So you think the only person that could do that was her. You know,
yeah, I do think because of the lockdown thing, part of me thinks like where maybe the other house has got a bunch of kids and that's where now he wants to come away. Or maybe it was coming all the time. We have another one, and I just wasn't aware of it because I was at work all day. I didn't notice it. Now I am noticing. So I think,
like it's not thin and underfed. It's a normal looking cat.
It's not underfed at all.
No. So just, you know, if the kids enjoy it and whatever, just let it have its life backwards and forwards. It's fine.
Yeah. The other cats didn't like him. They were hissing, but they've all got used to each other now. Yeah. So I'll just let him get on with it. Child.
Yeah, who will come to you, Will?
Yeah, and I did say to them, well, he obviously feels comfortable coming in here, so we'll just let him be, because he feels sheltered in here, and if he's coming in here from somewhere he's not comfortable, I'd rather him be comfortable.
But also, I believe, because Spirit told me, is soul family. So at the end of the day, that animal is supposed to come into your life, whatever means by, although somebody else owns it, is supposed to come into your life. So that's why he's made a concerted effort to do it.
Yeah, well, his other owner can have the vet bills if they need it. I don't want that. Otherwise, Spirit, give me some more work to cover his vet bills. Oh, Jackie, it's been absolutely lovely chatting to you.
Oh, thank you for asking me.
We'll put your book. We'll put your links to your book. I know your pet grief book. Definitely, that will be one where people will be interested.
Yeah,
I'll get all your other books lined up as well, because
yeah. Gosh, that's ages ago. Bill Rose is the thing on the front of that, isn't he? Yeah,
yeah.
And that's my probably my favorite books of stories, and that's my little Stan on the front. That he is the one that they prove from Spirit, about him going. But it's quite interesting because I'm really busy. Originally, that book, I actually wrote it all in my words on the client stories, got them approved, the one you've got there. And then when he went to heaven, my friend did a reading and he said, people will really like your next book. And I was like, I don't have time to write another book. And so it was like, sort of the summer afterwards, I said to Stan, sort of like, oh, you're talking about another book. How am I ever going to get time to do that? And he said, get the clients to write their stories for you. Oh. So when I have a read whatever I say, and people love it because in the books that everybody talks differently about their pet, and it's all absolutely true what they're doing because it's all my work. However, it's all said in different ways and I edit it and stuff. So yeah, I thought, oh, well done, Stan. So I put 2 out that year. I had enough stories.
Yeah. Denise, I'll go to California and work with my partner and Suzette. We were due to go out this year, but obviously with lockdown we couldn't go. And Denise has said for us to bring you with us next time that we go out. So
absolutely.
We'll have a road trip, shall we? We'll have a girls' road trip.
I am so up for that. Yeah, I've got some lovely Californian clients, and I actually know the people that own LA Equestrian and stuff. So yeah,
we'll make it happen.
Yeah. We shall. Should we say that? Okay, Spirit, next year we shall do that.
Let's do it. Absolutely. That'd be awesome.
See you then.
Jackie said thank you, and others have said thank you ever so much. Denise said, yeah, your book. We'll all have a book out by then. Lovely. Thank you everyone for joining in with your questions, and we will put up Jackie's links to her website and her books as well, which I'm sure you'll want to grab. Thank you all for joining in and all your questions. Thank you to Jackie. Thank you to Susan.
Thank you, ladies.
Next time, guys, on the show we have the lovely David Wells in 2 weeks, the astrologer Kabbalah friend David Wells. So he'll be joining us as lovely 2 weeks time on Tuesday. So we'll be plugging that next. But thank you again. Take care.
Take care. Bye.